Hi, it's Josh Lowrey with Upright Digital. I want to thank you for tuning in to one of the many podcasts that we have across our media channel, whether it be Oilfield 360, Energy and Transition, Highly Capable Podcast, or Street Smart with Justin Overstreet. We are announcing today a partnership with Gulf Publishing and World Oil. The interview that you're going to hear after this announcement is one that Andy McDowell and I did at OTC 2023. And we are putting this interview across all the different channels today to announce exactly what's about to happen. So I wanted to give you a heads up if you were tuning in to hear Keith Chemetsky or Dan Pickering. You'll hear them eventually, but first you're going to hear this interview with Andy to announce exactly what's going to happen. What this means for you and your favorite podcasts is that our distribution network is going to grow to probably the largest in the U.S. It's definitely going to be the largest in the U.S., but probably the largest in the world for energy, oil and gas, and industrial. We take that very seriously. We do not take your listenership lightly. We thank you very much for the support that we've had from 2019 to now. And I just hope you enjoy the interview. You're going to hear a very casual interview with Andy and I. We've been friends for a long time. He was one of the early supporters of everything we've been doing here, and it only made sense for us to partner with him. Upright Digital has grown by leaps and bounds from any of the events that we throw, any of the companies that we sponsor and put on. And really, ultimately, that's because of your support and your friendship throughout the last couple of years. So I want to thank you personally for everything you've done for us, audience. And I hope that you will continue to listen to us and support us as we grow, because we're only growing so we can tell good stories in an entertaining way across the entire U.S. and international platform on industrial, energy, and oil and gas. So thank you very much. Enjoy the interview. And if you have any questions, give us a call or look us up on one of our social media sites. Have a great day. Welcome to OTC 2023. My name is Josh Lowrey with the Upright Digital channel of podcasts and media. I am joined by my friend and colleague in the industry, Mr. Andy McDowell. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Dude, a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. This is, what do you think of our setup here at the show?
It's great. I mean, well-positioned.
Isn't this cool?
Yeah, no, podcast studios seem to be kind of an up-and-coming thing right now. It's a great chance to, first off, sit down and just relax.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Right?
That's actually great.
Have a good conversation amongst friends.
TBD on that, but yeah.
Fair enough.
And what do you mean podcast studios are becoming something? There's nobody that has anything like this.
Nobody has anything like this. I just mean from a perspective of, the new transitions that we're in. It's a new opportunity.
You mean people are trying to copy what we're doing?
Well, y'all are the best, Josh.
Thank you. Okay.
That's what we're doing there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not, this is not wherever you just came from. This is this set. This is the best here. This is what we're doing.
Absolutely. Front and center, biggest and brightest, leading the way,
It
I would
is.
say.
It is.
Yeah.
We've had a couple people come by, and some guy, my favorite thing that we've had is some guy tried to walk through in the middle of the podcast, and we stopped and said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, you got to put up a sign somewhere." And I go, "You mean like the lights and the camera? Is that enough of a sign that don't do that?" But not everybody's taking the hint. But yeah, so we are in the middle of the Energy Transition Pavilion at OTC, which is the first time that phrase has ever been uttered before.
Yeah.
How long have you been coming to OTC?
Shoot, ever since I've been at World Oil, so 18, I think it's my 18th OTC.
Yeah, that's a long time. I'm in my 22nd year, so that's cool. I like that we're coming up together. This is fun.
Yeah.
This is a much better bounce back year.
Absolutely.
I'm shocked by it, actually.
Yeah, no, crowds look great. Booths are starting to look great again.
Yes.
It's definitely a back from, on its way back from COVID, I would say for sure.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I was on LinkedIn kind of posting this, and I went to one of these OTC parties, and somebody said, "What are you trying to sell tickets this thing?" I'm like, "I don't care about tickets." I go, the reality is it's better.
It's bringing the industry together.
But
if you do it in small form, big form, it's a good group of people together here, and that's first and foremost what we're doing.
It is an absolute. There's no way to deny. I don't care what show you're putting on. We've got our own little groups. You've got your own events, etc. But like, there's still OTC. OTC's a monster.
Yep,
it just is, and you want it to be a monster.
Yeah,
for the industry. It's good for the industry. Yep. Our friend Danny has really been helpful getting us all set up on this. So I got to give him a thank you. Truly, Danny and Henry, quite honestly, have been great. So, but enough about those people. We're very selfish on these podcasts. So what this podcast is, our little announcement here, our conversation, this is going to be its own podcast that we're going to put on every single one of the channels to announce where we are, what's going on, where we've been, and then where we're going. And what I mean by that is, when David DeRoda and I and one of my old partners, Trey Smith, started the Oilfield 360 podcast. It was actually Oilfield 360 LLC back in 2019. we started this podcast as a way to tell good stories, right? Tell good stories about the industry. And, we didn't really know what we're doing with it. And it was like, we're going to do this. And people were like, how are you going to monetize this? Like, I don't know. How are you going to do this? I don't know. And honestly, that wasn't what we were after. We were after telling good stories. And, so we've basically lost money on this thing the whole time, but we didn't care. That wasn't what it was built to do. It was built to tell good stories about the people, the products, the widgets, et cetera, in the oil and gas industry. And that's morphed into a bunch of different stuff. We'll get into that in a second. But the almost person number one to join us was Andy McDowell. And I'm looking out in the crowd here, and I see another guy looking at us. Jim Watkins is here, and I want to give him a special shout out too, because honestly, Jim's been amazing. And
Jim's been bugging me about podcasts for 5 years.
Well, I mean, he was doing them. He's doing them early, doing them well.
Yep.
And Jim's funny. He's a California guy, if I'm not mistaken. And he's like, hey, dude, check this thing out. He opens, and he's all mobile. And I just remember thinking, like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had to build this studio that I can't turn one thing on at all. I would break everything. And he's got this mobile studio that he's rolling around everywhere. So, you guys came in early to our studios and said, this is great. This is what we want to do. And you jumped behind us and gave us a lot of credibility on the Oilfield 360 podcast. And, we're friends in business. We're colleagues. I respect what you're doing. But at the same time, like had a guy in a group like, the World Oil crowd not come into us to the come and gotten involved with it so quickly that I'm not sure we would have been as taken as seriously as we were just by being such a new podcast. So all that being said is, like, what we're about to talk about didn't just happen overnight.
No, absolutely no. It's definitely been a work in the making, and we've been able to work with y'all and support you on the Oilfield 360 level, and try and make sure that our audience of upstream professionals is having access to this information on a regular basis. And kind of moving forward, we're looking to.
So let's do two things here. Okay. Let's break news, because this will be launched after this is public. Okay. So we're going to break news now. Sure, there's people listening, but we can say this loud? We
can say it loud.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Would you like to announce your new role within the Gulf energy world?
Yep. So I'm very excited. As of August 1 of this year, I'll be the new president of Gulf Energy Information. Very excited about that.
Absolutely.
Across all of our, thank you very much.
Well done.
Across all of our energy, oil and gas portfolios, especially in our renewable sections as well, market intelligence events, everything that we've been doing.
Okay.
Yes. So as of August 1, and
you're going to be taking the place where John Royal sits now.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, John has been a tremendous mentor to me for the past 14, 15 years.
A lot of people.
Yeah, doing great. He's still going to be involved, obviously, as well. Kind of that announcement, I guess, will come here in the next couple of weeks or so.
So John, if you know him, is a class act. If you don't know him, he's a class act. He is just one of those people that kind of, and he's different to work for, but I can tell you on the outside, he's a very peaceful, very legitimate, respected guy that I know a lot of people just enjoy. And I played golf with him one time, and I had a brand new club, and I swung it. My head snapped off. It flew straight in the water. And I was so pissed. And I had to act calm because I was with John. He's like, well, Josh, this will be. And I'm thinking, man, I'm pretty upset right now.
You let it out later on for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I went to the club. I was like, drain that lake. Go get that club head.
That's great.
But he was such a calm guy that I couldn't lose my mind over it. So I really like John. I always have. And
we're going to continue to work together. It's going to be great in this new form. We're very excited.
You taking that role, that's a big deal. Like that's not a little role. That's a big role, what you guys are doing there.
We're a global organization across all different forms of media and events as well, and we're in a transition period ourselves where we've recently moved everything to a digital platform recently, and things just continue to grow and expand as quickly as possible there, which is great. And it's just nice to looking forward to the next chapter for sure.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Earned,
Thank
well
you
deserved. I'm rooting you on, buddy.
Thank you.
So now that is breaking piece of information number one.
Okay.
So audience, I hope you enjoyed that. Number two. And this is something, as a selfish person, this is something that I'm very excited about.
Selfish plug coming up.
Yeah. Well, so we've always been kind of peripheral partners in what we're doing there, but we are going to expand our partnership beyond the Oilfield 360 into all things media related to our group, where we produce content, work with the Gulf World Oil platforms for distribution, and then vice versa. And Energy and Transition with
Mhm.
Dan Pickering and I, Oilfield 360 with Wickland and David DeRode.
Yep.
And then Highly Capable, which is the supply chain podcast with Keith Chemetsky and Frank Cantrell.
Yep.
And then the Street Smart podcast, which is the one with Justin Overstreet, which is going to focus on more of a big, entry. I say entry, just a newer company, CEO, oil and gas related. So all of these are in and around the energy and oil and gas space. And then on this flip side, we're going to begin working with and producing a lot of your content.
Yep.
On
the
your
podcast side, yeah,
your
absolutely.
3 podcasts, and that's going to be Deep Dive,
Oilfield Electrification, the Reservoir currently as well. Those are the 3 main ones on the World Oil side. We've got some other things potentially in the works that could always fold into that down the road. But really, I think it's about just mutually supporting each other's podcasts and content in the marketplace. That's really going to help. We've gone to the trouble and privilege actually of being able to create all this great content throughout podcasts. We've got a tremendous audience on the World Oil side. You've got a great following on the Upright Digital side. The call it a JV merger, friendship, whatever we want to call it.
I like that last word. I like that last one you didn't quite finish, but keep.
As you said earlier, TBD, right? No, but it's just we've got quality audiences, we've got quality content on both sides. We want to make sure that the opportunity to have access to that is at everyone's forefront, and that's the main end goal of this entire agreement here.
Well, and I know you don't like giving out your numbers. We don't really either, but we've talked about these privately. But this will make this the largest podcast distribution in the world that we know of in the energy and oil and gas space.
I believe so. When we do the math behind the scenes, it adds up to a lot of numbers, it's very, very quality high downloads. And that we're very excited about. It is across all of Gulf brands with that, but on the upstream side, those are some of our biggest.
So if you don't mind, I'm a frac guy. I started out making everything from a BOP, and it's not quite frac, but everything from a BOP to now frac pump, frac blocks, etc. So our audience has always been typically North America and North American shale. We've done downhole products as well, but still just in that general audience. Where are you guys the most strong with your audience today?
Yeah, sure. So World Oil's, that ballpark roughly about 50-50, maybe more like 60-40, actually outside U.S. versus U.S.
Okay.
All upstream focused.
Okay.
That's primary. So, professionals, engineers, managers, key decision makers within that upstream audience on a global level.
Okay.
So that's one of the main reasons we're looking to, partner and do more things together, is be able to expand that overall presence, right? If we can take content and information that is applicable here, there's no reason it can't be applicable elsewhere as well. It's good quality listeners and readers and engagement that we have on a regular basis, and so it's a solid fit from that standpoint. From a
it definitely isn't. Well, our friend and business partner and all that stuff, John Daniel Energy Partners, that was a part of starting that company and getting it up and going. I love those guys. Bill is great, and I'm going to keep working on them to just consistency. They're doing great with their podcast, and they're so humble in their approach to things that they're like, oh, nobody want to listen to this. I'm like, guys, yes, they would. Your content's great.
Yep.
And so I'll work on them a little bit too, because like I said, ultimately the goal is great content consistently to educate, inform, and bring about a consensus of what we're trying to do here.
Yep.
It's not, we've had some phenomenal guests on this show just this week in the last 2 days. And, I don't care which side. I know we're in the energy transition pavilion, but we didn't focus on just bring me a windmill guy, right? Or just bring me a whatever guy. We wanted people that were, as we always do, rational people that talk about smart ideas. And even the most, carbon sequestration guy that was just on here was like, everything's going to come from oil and gas. Oil and gas people are the one that are going to solve this. Oil and gas people are going to be able to, change this equipment to do this. And this is the guy that I would have thought would have been not from that direction, right? And he's just like, no, this is, and when you hear that, it's so encouraging to be like, I believe this, and
Absolutely.
Austin Huber with Piper.
Yep.
He's so funny. And he is, I feel like David Road right now. I'm dropping names left and right, but again, it's just all important because these people talk about, what are we, is it oil and gas? Is it energy? I'm like, no, it's everything.
It's everything. It's
everything.
all of the above, working together for the next several centuries in front of us, because nothing is going to work without the other.
No.
Bottom line.
And how do we and that's why I feel like this partnership, like we were doing a great job telling stories, but then when you came and you're like, hey, this is an idea I have, which I was like, Andy, like you're the missing link. You and your organization are the missing link for us. I can, it's one of these things where I can run as fast as I want, and it's going to take me 10 years to get some of the things I want. Or we can plug in and work with each other on what we have now and speed this up instantly and
Absolutely.
help the entire, I keep talking about the audience, but the audience is everybody that's staring at us now, everybody at the show. You and I have traveled the world together, quite honestly, a couple different countries that I can think of just off the top of my head, and going to those parts of the world with a message that we can just hit a button, take a great message out from Houston, Texas, and send it there, where that message isn't just like, hey, oil and gas guy, you're bad.
Yep.
Or hey, energy and transition guy, you're whatever. You're not making any money. Wrong. If we're doing this right, we're all going to win.
We're all working together. Absolutely.
So let me ask you that. How do you view what you're going to be able to do with, obviously I keep talking about our podcast. I'm actually already including Jim and his podcast here. How do you anticipate kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of taking that message out properly and positioning that to the market?
Yeah. So I mean, in a transitioning B2B world, our traditional media, opportunities within print and things like that no longer exist, right?
Okay.
We've got robust websites, we've got targeted newsletters throughout, hundreds, thousands throughout social media and other forms. Really, it's just about strategically taking the podcast themes or topics, placing them and targeting them to the right audiences with behavioral interests and so forth like that, and then quickly building on engagement from there. The great thing about podcasts is, you can spark somebody's interest with one episode.
Mm-hmm.
They go to that one episode. Next thing you know, they're downloading a whole bunch more behind, and then next thing you know, they're following you real time, right? I mean, that's the ultimate end goal.
So you said something a minute ago with something about metrics, or what did you call that a second ago?
Oh, so like digital media and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how are you you're able to target them that specifically?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we can get very specific with like our oilfield electrification audience, for example. We can go after people that are only interested in electrification, or whether it's a e-frac issue or subsea, electrifying subsea platform, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of different things we can do to get very niche with those audiences to make sure that the right content's being delivered.
Okay.
We're under the umbrella of upstream professionals in any way that we do it, but we can get very specific with how those things are presented to the audience to be able to, try and they're more likely to click and engage on content that is relevant to their day-to-day jobs, as opposed to just, well, that looks interesting, right? So the better job that we can do in our digital media platforms to target that throughout various forms of media, the better it's going to be for everybody down the road.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of Gulf's model in general. I mean, we've got midstream and downstream folks as well, total circulation numbers like in the 400,000 to 500,000 range, for example, just to throw out. But everybody doesn't get everything. Mm-hmm. It's all very, very targeted, very specific to make sure that it goes to the right audiences.
Okay.
Moving forward.
So I don't care. I'm gonna tell this story. I joined a club in Dallas 10 years ago, and as I joined it, I said, "All right, we go through the whole process, and it happens." I was very excited, and I kind of asked. I said, "Is there any rules that I need to know about what I can't do?" And I had a great relationship with the membership director, or whatever, and she said, "Well, she kind of thought for a second. She goes, just don't drive your car on the golf course."
Yeah, it's
and
fair
I
enough.
went, "Okay." She said, "Yeah, a couple months back, this guy drove his cart, drove into it, and made high bone or whatever it's called." And I was like, "So my only rule is don't drive my car on the golf course." She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I can do that.
Yep.
This is great." So if that's standard of how far I can take things and not get kicked off your network, that I like, what rules what do you want to see in this partnership here? What are you hoping to get out of us?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, you've always, thrown around ideas and themes about like the next generation, right? That like next generation of people that are in the oil and gas space that are ultimately going to be the face of oil and gas space at some point. Mm-hmm. And, it's not just saying it's a younger crowd, but it's a crowd that has come together earlier in life that is committed to this industry, wanting to move forward. I saw that in you. I saw that in your company. I saw that in things that you've done. And not just I mean, mm-hmm. at Gulf, right? At World Oil. So really, at the end of the day, we know that you are creating great content. We know that you've got great relationships with people to create that content with. We know your moderators and your hosts and your network is great. So anywhere, World Oil is great, Upright's great. Wherever we can position that together, I think at the end of the day is beneficial for everybody. I'm not using it as an exact analogy, but I always, tell people like when we're, when I'm hiring or interviewing somebody. I'm like, your job is to push me to the cliff.
Yeah,
I will make sure we don't go over the
right.
cliff.
I love that.
I actually think it's a great analogy, but both ways.
Perfect.
You know, so it's not you working for me, it's not me working for you. It's not companies coming together, making sure we don't go off each other's cliff, but expanding that cliff range as far as we possibly can.
I couldn't agree with that more. That's a great way of saying it.
Because there's no way that we can just set parameters as to this is what we're going to do. Because in our world, in our media world especially, things change minute by minute. We have to be able to adapt to that.
What do you guys have in terms of women in energy? I just got back from the Energy Workforce Technology Council annual meeting. It was awesome, right?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, one of the best ones I've been to. Really good.
God, no kidding, right? That was got to be one of the best ever. I was talking to Leslie Beyer about it, and really everybody. I mean,
outside of cybersecurity warnings, you leave just kind of scared, reckless. But it's all stuff we need to hear. Be prepared for it. Maybe get off your phone, delete this podcast. Yeah, right.
Get rid of throw your computer out.
Burners.
Oh my God! Yeah, don't ever take anything to China. That's what this guy told us.
That's what the guy told us. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. But no, really good meeting overall. Yeah,
I thought it was great.
I enjoyed it.
That was great, and I got second place. No big deal in the golf tournament.
Yeah. Impressive.
Whole other
study
story
your golf
there.
game.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, listen, my game was set. I just wanted out of there. So, wait, what am I? Oh yeah, I know what I was saying. So Leslie and I, like her speech. I think anybody who knows Leslie knows she's amazing.
Yep,
Super
she's
impressive, very talented, strong. I mean, she's I'm a big fan of Leslie because Leslie's been a big fan of us for a long time, and she's been incredibly helpful to us. So, as she was saying goodbye to her, she's leaving. Just for the audience, she's done with her almost 10-year tenure there at EWTC, and she's walking into the unknown right now. She'll end up finding something great if she wants to. I mean, she can do a lot of different things. But as she was saying, thank you to everyone in the industry or everyone in the room, I just was like, we need more Leslies. We need more. There's more coming, and Leslie's done a great job of like investing in other women and trying to really bring up different. So, like, what do you guys have in terms of that? I know you used to have a breakfast. Do you still have?
So not specific to. I mean, we have a forecast breakfast and certain things like that. Specific to, you mentioned the like Women's Energy Network and things. We have the Women's Global Leadership Conference, which has been a transitional forum in our industry, kind of really leading the ways of not only women in the industry, but folks looking just to elevate their careers and become, just quality professionals throughout that process. That's been a 20-year venture of ours going on the event side itself. One of the things we also talked about, not to just drop a third bomb here, but since we're dropping them back and forth, we talked at EWTC with Craig Lang about putting something together about how do we inspire that next generation. Right. How can we, media, video, podcasts, whatever that may be, and I say we as in you and us and the industry as a whole, put stuff together, utilize quality networks like World Oil and Gulf and our relationships to the younger generation to build up that next space, right? Because guess what? You and I laugh about it all the time, but
we're getting older.
We are getting older, and how excited were we that they extended the young person's happy hour to 45? Yeah, so we're still in. Yes, I mean just barely, but we're there.
Hey,
so
I was thrilled.
So
young executives, right? That was called
executives. Yeah. My whole point being is that next generation's coming out of college 20 years back.
Yep.
And we need to make sure that they're aware of not only the opportunities in oil and gas. I mean, you have your petroleum engineers; they're going to come in rightfully so, and they'll be attracted through various reasons. But really, it's all the other jobs that are a fun part of this, right? And
so here's
not
what
everybody gets that opportunity to see that.
We're breaking news. We're going to put this challenge on us right now, you and I.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
We need to develop because one of the things that Leslie said, she said, look, I've never had a female role model.
Yeah.
She said I had a lot of male role models and that's actually the only time she got emotional was just how important the male role model was in her kind of time at the council, right? And that's great. And there's really good men that are in that position to help people come up. But at the same time, I thought to myself, I know Leslie's been a good role model for other women, right? And that would be something that I think that, look, it's not going to be you and I hosting this, but I think we should set out to have a goal of ours to build a, oil and gas, women leadership, whatever you called it a minute ago.
Women's global leadership.
Podcast.
Yep. I think it's a good idea.
In the words of Ben Hurt, let it be written, let it be done.
We should definitely talk to the folks on our team that have spearheaded that brand for the past, decade and a half or so.
It's
But
too late. We just committed them.
we committed them to it, but it's all for the better part of it. So
That's
hey, I love it.
That's right.
Drop breaking news item 4.
Pushing off cliffs. And that we said, oh, no, wait. Go to the cliff. Never mind.
Go to the cliff. Expanding the cliff without going over on either
Too late.
side.
We
Nope,
just jumped.
We're not over. We're not over
We're not
yet.
there?
No,
Okay, good.
We're not over yet. We still got space.
But I just think that's an important legacy of when I heard her saying that. I was like, that's a great way to leave the way she left. And I just thought, man, again, I just felt like if there's anything we can do, we should do it.
Leslie's been a tremendous supporter of ours.
Yes, she has.
You know, she's transitioned the council, and she's leaving it in really good hands with Molly and Tim.
Yep.
She will, of course, be missed forever moving forward on that.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
Long live the king. We can definitely see about ways to engage her. And hey, who knows? Maybe she wants to moderate something like that on the side. And
believe me, I've already asked her. She's about to take a break. She's like, thanks, Josh. Don't lose my number for a minute, please.
Well, next week then we can start
That's
committing
right.
to it. Yeah.
But she, you know, the council is a podcast. It's been a long day. Podcast sponsor. So, you know, they're active in this, the O360, the energy and transition. They're very much partners of ours as well.
Absolutely.
So,
yep.
What else do we need to touch on? What do you think the audience is driving thinking? I wish they would say X.
You know, it's a lot of information definitely to come out for that for sure. Really, you know, what I'm most excited about looking forward is just kind of what this industry looks like in 5, 10, 15 years going forward, right?
Yep.
I think that the folks that are definitely involved in the industry realize that we're still in this lodge to kind of get out of, you know, COVID and the negative impacts on our, you know, on our industry in general and media, whatever that may be. But we are working very hard. It's a fun industry to be a part of. We're moving very quickly. We're very efficient. We're doing it all very cleanly, and it's a great chance to just, I mean, the possibilities of creating, you know, quality content around that, I mean, really are limitless. I mean, we can do it in a multiple form. If we sit here and talk long enough, we'll probably commit ourselves to more things.
I will say this funny thing before we get out of here just a minute. There's a major public company CEO that I will not mention his name. He comes up to me and he says, Josh, he goes, how come you're coming up in my TikTok? Which, point number one that cracked me up. That this guy's close to 60. He's like, why are you coming up in my TikTok? And I started laughing. I go, what are you talking about? And he said, he's like, you know, these videos, you're cold plunging and you're doing all this. I started really cracking up. And I said, please don't watch those. I was like, please don't watch those. And he's like, no, he literally starts cracking up. He's like, first of all, he's like, get your pool cleaned.
Yep.
I'm like, thanks. It's a Friday. My pool guy comes on Friday, whatever. And so he gives me a lesson on how to literally fix my pump, which is very much of what somebody in his role would do. But then he goes, I'm serious though. He goes, the way that, it's not going to be me. He goes, it may not even be you guys. He said, but the way to reach people, he goes, I watched that video and my wife and I cracked up. And he goes, and then it hits me, the way that we're going to tell these messages to this audience and those that want to listen is going to be in short order and short, you know, whatever short little clips that grab their attention differently than they did 15, 20 years. I mean, maybe 5 years ago. I don't even know. Right.
Yep. And
he's like, that's where we need to start paying attention to. And I walked away just cracking up that the guy's on my TikTok, and second, that this is his idea of what we should be doing. And I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And so again, we're not breaking news number 5, but I just feel like as time goes on, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to create really impactful, quick hitting content that goes, you know, because every podcast we do, we pull that stuff out into a clip and, you know, then post that on social media. So
Sure.
And Lauren Johnstone's really good at like making something interesting, more interesting maybe than it is in the moment too. Her editing skills are excellent. So anyway, I just feel like I just feel like we're going to have a lot of opportunity here. Very, very excited about it.
You've got to engage with this, whether it be next generation or folks outside oil and gas, in a very different way than you have before. So as we all transition into that process, it's going to be a fun role, trying to figure it all out for sure.
Well, Andy McDowell, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the partnership.
Yep. We're looking forward to it.
We are too, man. It's going to be great. You know, like I said, this is going to go across all the different podcast platforms. Look us up on uprightdigital.com. And what is the best place for people to actually really get your content on a day-to-day basis? Because I know there's better ways than hidden in one of the crazy places that it's hidden now.
Newsletters, social media, best way to engage that That's where 95% of the
So
traffic.
newsletters, how do they get that? They go to what, your website, sign up for it, or
yep,
they?
worldoil.com. They can sign up for a variety of different, either specific, monthly
And those get
topic
delivered
newsletters or
into
daily.
their.
Yep, inbox on a daily basis.
I know a lot of people that read those. So what those topics range from what to what?
It's really just anything from hot news items of the day. We'll do breaking news announcements, real time, as things like that. We also start to implement a lot of our more technical content that appears in the digital magazines itself. Now we're all digital. Everything comes to the website first, and then just gets trickled out to a variety of different forms.
Because you guys are doing you're doing a pretty good daily summary though as well.
Great daily summary, kind of a real quick snapshot on what you need. I've had dozens of people everywhere that I've always been tell me that it's a great little single read in the morning.
Yep.
Ironically, one of our better performing assets is the Saturday newsletter, because we still can't get people away entirely reading.
I believe that.
Drinking their coffee, reading their paper.
Yeah, I mean they're
phone in
up
the morning,
early.
Whatever it may be.
My kids are screaming, "Go get donuts!" And my wife's been up all early all week, so she wants to sleep in. I get it.
Yep, you're reading your stuff there on Saturday.
Yeah.
But there's great ways you can find it there. We
That's
also
interesting.
we also do very targeted email communication out to the audience as well. So that's where majority of that's coming from. And then really with podcasts, once you kind of get on the buzz, once things start to come on, they can then subscribe to it, and then they're receiving episodes real time as they come out.
Is Jim going to be mad when I take over the number one spot with Dan Pickering and I? Because we're coming for the top spot over there.
Oh, this is totally the cliff to cliff side, back and forth here. I love it. Absolutely.
I like Jim. He's great, and I'm looking forward to all of this partnership and friendship, and just it's going to be great.
It really is.
And honestly, if there's anything we can do for you, just let us know, okay, buddy?
Vice versa.
All right, man. Good luck. I know we shook hands. We're doing it again.
Yep.
See ya.
All right. Thank you.